Three, two, one. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. So let us continue with our discussions on forest engineering and surveying. So for lecture 4, we will continue with our discussion on the horizontal distance. But basically, this is the outline for lecture 4. The composition of taping party, I think we already have discussed this one. The procedure of taping, breaking tape, slope taping, and for this lecture, we will put emphasis on corrections in taping and the corrections due to incorrect tape length. So meaning to say, we have to apply corrections on our measurements and on laying out a known distance into the area if we are using a tape that is of incorrect length. So to review, the composition of the taping party are as follows. The head tapeman, the person responsible for the accuracy and speed of all linear measurements using the tape. Then the recorder, he keeps records of all the measurements, sketches, and observations taken during the process of measurement. The flagman is the person whose duty is to hold the range pole at selected points, especially in traverse, in every corners where sightings can be taken, the flagman will serve as the target of the instrument man. Then we have the rear tapeman, is the person whose duty is to assist the head tapeman during the taping operations. So for the taping party, basically ito lang ang kailangan natin. But for a survey party, so marami yun. Na-discuss natin on the previous lecture. So we have the chief of party, etc., etc. So the procedure of taping. So basically, ito yung gagawin natin pag we are on field doing measurements. Aligning the tape. I-align natin ang tape according to the terrain. Then stretching the tape. Dapat the tape should be properly stretched. Hindi masyadong stretch, baka maputol ang tape. Ang hindi rin ganong galuwag, or at least can have a more accurate measurement. Plumbing, this is done when you are measuring a tape held horizontally along a sloping area. Plumbing, or sa Bisaya, is pagtuntun. Maglagay ka ng tuntun so as to have an accurate measurement based on the end where the tape was broken. Then marking full tape lengths, tallying tape measurements, and then measuring fractional lengths. You see fractional, you are not stretching the whole tape during the aligning, during measurements. So this is what we call as the breaking tape method. Breaking tape, hindi ibig sabihin that we have to cut the tape, but basically to stretch out the tape based on the horizontal plane. For example, this is the sloping terrain, and you are to measure the length from point A to point B. If you are going to align the tape along the terrain, what you are measuring is not the horizontal distance, but the slope distance. To measure horizontal distance, you can do breaking tape method or sloping tape method, and later on convert it into corresponding horizontal distance. But for this discussion, we'll be using the breaking tape method. So in breaking tape, ibig sabihin, iputol-putol natin yung tape based on the mark on the tape measured. For example, this is the direction of the stopping party is going down slope. So on the 30 mark of the tape, you are stretching the whole tape now. If you are using a tape that is 30 meters in length, you are already stretching out the tape towards the 30 meter mark. So on A, you'll align the tape towards the horizontal plane. Pag ito lang yung kaya, na i-stretch out, then you record the 20 meter. So for example, the 30-meter mark, nandito, nakita mo doon sa tape that is 20 meter. So you have measured a 10-meter mark. 10-meter length, I mean. Then you do plumb line. Maglagay ka ng tunton, then mark this point here with a peg or any object that you can mark. Then from here, you measure again horizontally. And measuring, you have reached the 8-meter mark of the tape. So from 20 to 8 meter, that's a total of 12 meters. So in all, you have 10 and 12 meters. Then from here, again, you do a plumb line. You stretch out the tape. And here, you mark the 0-meter mark on the tape. So from this point towards here, that is 8 meters. So you add all your measurements, 10 plus 12 plus 8, that is a 30-meter reading. Understood? Sa kanila, baliktad, ano? But pwede rin natin gamitin ganito. No? From 0, you measure towards the horizontal distance. Then until kung ano lang ang kaya, then you record your reading. Pwede rin pabaliktad. But on the book, ganito yung ginagawa nila. From a 30-meter mark towards 0. And pwede rin gawin from 0 towards the 30-meter mark. That's breaking tape method. For slope taping, I think we already have discussed this one. We simply have to convert the slope distance into horizontal distance by applying trigonometric method. Trigonometry. We have to determine the angle of inclination. So this can be done by using clinometer. You determine the angle and then measure the length from one point to this point along the terrain. For example, the measurement is made along a line that is inclined. A vertical angle of 15 degrees and 25 minutes as measured using handheld clinometer. Now, hand level and clinometer. The slope measurement is 756.52 meters, medyo mahaba. What is the corresponding horizontal distance? Solution. So based on our previous discussion, the horizontal distance, or D, can be computed using the equation D is equal to S, which is the slope distance, multiplied by the cosine of the angle. If the angle is given, if the inclination is given as an angle, so you can solve it directly. 756 times the cosine of 15 and 25 degrees. 15 degrees and 25 minutes. So in your calculator, you enter, skip ko muna, 729. And then, stop share ko muna. And short video. So in your calculator, I hope you can see this one. Okay, let me check. Okay. So in your calculator, you enter the slope distance, 756.52 multiplied by the cosine of the angle, press 15 degrees and 25 minutes. Press the equal sign. This is 729. Let me see. It's not clear. 729.22 or 0.3. What's my answer here? 729.30 meters. So, video muna. And then share again with the screen. So you can multiply it directly using a scientific calculator. So as mentioned, as a reminder always, before answering the quizzes, you have to have your scientific calculator. And since this is online, actually on a face-to-face class, I do not allow the use of equations or formulas. You have to familiarize the equations. You have to memorize the formulas. But since this is online, we cannot really look into if you are memorizing the formula. At least be ready na lang. Print all of these handouts before attempting a quiz. And in the quiz, okay, I will allow you to use your handouts, provided that it is your own handout and you do the computations on your own. Not depending on your classmates with the results, because at the end of the semester, you will learn nothing, no? Okay, subtan. So I think we'll discuss na natin later on. And if ever the angle is given in terms of a slope, no, you see slope that is in percentage, 45% or 20%. You can use the equations provided based on our previous discussions. Convert that percent or slope into an angle before doing this equation. Understood? Okay, let me proceed. Here, we have to apply corrections in taping. Because in the process of surveying, there is no really a perfect survey. So no matter how careful you are gathering the data, still you will encounter different sorts of errors, instrumental errors, personal errors. But in this topic, we are encountering an instrumental error by using a tape that is not proper calibrated, or that is not in the correct length. Okay, taping operations could either be of the following: taping to determine an unknown length. So we have the term determine. To determine, you are to measure so that the unknown length can be recorded or can be known. Then another one, taping for the purpose of laying out a required or specified length. So the difference here is you do not know the length, so you have to measure to determine the length. The second one, you know the length, but you have to lay out this one on the ground. For example, for the first, you have a line A and B. So what is the distance between A and B? So you take your measuring tape and measure the length of A and B. That's determining. The second one is you lay out. For example, if you are a coach of a track and field athlete, and you are to lay out a distance of 100 meters, for the sprint. So you have 100 meters, so you have to put this one into the ground. So you lay out from 0, get the tape, and measure 100 meters. And after laying out 100 meter, you mark this on the ground, so that distance is already 100 meters based on the meter nga gigamit nimo, or the measuring tape na gigamit nimo. Regardless of which of these two categories is involved, there are some corrections which are applied to the original measurements to determine the correct and more accurate length. So whichever of the two, there should be corrections. There is corrections if kinahanglan in order to make a correct and more accurate length. The corrections to taping are applied by the use of the following rules. So we have 3 rules. When a line is measured with a tape that is too long, the corrections are applied to the observed length by adding. So that I have measured. When a line is measured, you are measuring, you are determining with a tape that is too long. When we see too long, you have a tape both in a hardware, that's 30 meters. But if you are going to compare that 30 meters with the standard invar tape or invariable tape, you found that the tape you have bought is longer than the standard tape. That is why it is too long. So the corrections are applied to the observed length by adding. So you have to add your corrections based on your computations, and then you add this one to your measured tape length. For rule 2, when a specified or required length is to be laid out, this one i-laid out nimo, ibutang nimo on the ground with a tape that is too long. Again, this is too long. The corrections are subtracted from the known length to determine the corrected length to be laid out. Okay, so when measuring or laying out corrects our length with a tape that is too short, kini siya, too short na naman. The corrections are applied opposite to those stated in the first 2 rules. So if too short, for rule number 1, if you are measuring a line that a tape with is too short, then instead of adding, you are to subtract. For rule number 2, if you are to lay out a specified or required length with a tape that is too short, so the corrections are to be added. So baliktad siya, no? So ano lang, you memorize these 2 rules and we will apply this one by the following examples. Corrections are computed as TL minus NL. When we say TL, this is the tape length na ginagamit nimo for measurement. Then NL is the nominal length or the length of the supposedly correct length of the tape. Then this is C with L, small l, corrections or the corrections. Correction multiplied by the measured length divided by the nominal length. Then CL, which stands for the correct length, is the measured length plus minus the C small l, or corrections to be applied. ML is the measured length meant to be laid out, and NL is the nominal length of the tape. Claro? Okay. Question? Wala question. Let me proceed. So we will provide example for the equation. So example, the length of line AB measured with a 50-meter tape is 465.285 meters. When the tape is compared with a standardized invar tape, it is found to be 0.016 meter too long in almost the same conditions of support, tension, and temperature that existed during measurement of the line. So determine the correct length of AB. Given the nominal length is 50 meters. So this is our supposed to be the accurate or the correct length of the tape, 50 meter. Measured length is 465.285 meter. And correction, there is an error of 0.016 meter for every 50 meters. The solution, the corrections to be applied. CL is equal to core, the measured length, over the nominal length. So the correction is 0.016 multiplied by 465.285 over 50. 465 is the measured length, and NL, 50 meter is the nominal length. So using your calculator, the corrections to be applied is 0.149 meter. So correct length of the measurement. So for the correct length, this is 465.285, which is your measured length. This is plus or minus 0.149. Here we use plus. Kanya naman. The tape is too long and the process is determining. So you are to determine the length of that line. So the process is determining, and the tape that is too long, so that is rule number 1. To determine using a tape that is too long, correction should be added. So the correct length is 465.434 meter. So this is the correct length of line AB. So nasabtan. So why is this important? Yun naman. So in surveying, isang gamay lang na difference on the correct length, dako na siya og difference, especially if the property you are buying is very expensive. Like for example, you are buying a property in Phil Invest. So the value of that property per square meter is mga 10,000 ang value of land per square meter. And then if you are using a length that is of incorrect length, so pila ka millions ang imong alkanse, no? If you are using a tape that is either too short or too long. So that's the importance of the corrections. No nang karon, on modern surveying, geodetic surveyors would use highly accurate, highly precise measurement devices such as the total stations, which is a satellite-based device, which is very accurate, compared to the tape na ginagamit. But still, they are also using a tape we call as invert tapes for counter-checking. Okay, let us proceed with exercise number 1. A steel tape whose nominal length is supposed to be 30 meter long. So this is the NL. Was found to be 30.02. So ibig sabihin, the tape is longer. So nominal length is 30 meter, pero it was found out to be 30.02. So it's 0.02 longer with the standard when compared with the invert tape during standardization. If the rectangular lot measured with the tape was recorded to be 220 meter by 450 meter, what is the actual dimensions of the lot? So determine the error in square meter. So we have to compute magkano o ilan yung sobra in terms of square meter based on the previous record, recorded 220 meter by 450 meters. Okay, to be continued. That's end. So we will solve this exercise. Let me stop share and start the video. Klaro ba? Let us try to solve this problem. Okay. We have a steel tape that has a nominal length of 30 meters. Pangit yung again. NL is 30 meters. Then correction, it was already given. The correction is 0.02 meters. Ibig sabihin, it is longer. The tape is longer than the nominal tape of 0.02. Then the width of the property is 220 meters and the length is 450 meters. White wire marker. So let us first solve the width. For the corrections to be applied on the width, see on the width, it is computed as corrections multiplied by the measured length over the nominal length. The correction is 0.02 multiplied by measured length of 220 over 30 meters. Again, using our calculator, let us compute 0.2 times 220 divided by 30. So you have a correction to be applied of, say, ano na lang, this is 3 decimal, 0.147. 0.147. It was 0.146666. So it's 147 meter. So the correct length for the width is equal to 220 plus or minus the 0.147 meters. Plus or minus. Since this is determining, so you have to determine the length, the actual length, and the tape is too long, so correction should be added. So this is last. So the correct length is 220.147 meters. So this is the correct length of the property. So let us put here the correct length of the width is 220.147 meters. Okay? Maklaro ba? Let me see my video. Okay, claro. Now let us compute for the length. The corrections of the length. Here we change the length. Ito, the length na to, width na kanina. So the length is 400. Going back to the problem, it's 450 meters. So we will change this one into 450 meters. So using your calculator, you solve 0.02 times 450 divided by 30 is 0.3. So your correction is 0.3 meters. So for the correct length of the length, this is 450 plus 0.3. So the length, the actual length is really 450.3 meters. So this is the actual length of the property. So for the corrected measurement, the CL of the length is equal to 450.300 meters. So this is the answers. And then let us compute for the error. The error of in terms of square meter. So based on the required, the dimension of the lot dimension is equal to length times the width Length is 450 times the width of 220. So the area of the the property is 99,000 square meter. Again, 450 times 220, 99,000 square meter. But the corrected dimension, corrected area, this is corrected. 450.3 times 220.147. 450.3 times 220.147. This is 99,132. 99,132.19. 194 square meter. So what's the error? The error is equal to area 1 minus area 2. Ini area 1 na nga siya. 99,000 minus 99,132.194. Minus 99,000. So we have a difference of a negative 132.194 meter square. So na difference, no? Yeah. 132.194 square meter. So ibig sabihin, kulang. Kulang ang area na survey for you. You are only given 99,000 based on the 450 by 220 meter, but the actual area is about 99,132.194 square meter. So why is this important? If you are buying the property again from an expensive subdivision, let us put value on the difference. This is only 132 square meter, but if you multiply the property, the value of the property to be 10,000, ganun yung pricing ng lupa sa city. Yung iba, there are 10,000 per square meter. So you have, not answer, 1 million. Magkano ang nalugi sa iyo? This is 1,321 and 194 pesos. So ito yung nalugi o nawala sa iyo. So you fall short of 1,321,194 pesos for just 132 square meter if the value of land is only 10,000 sa Butuan. Yung iba, if you are buying an agricultural land, the price of that is mga 1,000 to 1,500 square meter. So kung 1,500 lang, 132.194 times 1,500, mga 198,000 lang naman, or roughly 200,000. Maliit lang, but still a big amount, no? Imagine 198,000, that's already a big money. If you are buying your property in Siargao Island, how much is the value of that per square meter lupa? Any idea? Well, I have been to Siargao, and based on their assessment, the value of a land there per square meter is equal to 20,000 per square meter. So again, 132.194 times 20,000. How much the value of the land? Now, nawala sa imo ha. 2,643,880. So, very significant. That's why when you do surveying, there is no room for errors and mistakes because that will commensurate to a value na dako. Although small lang, if you try to look at the data, ito lang yung difference. 0.147. This is smaller than a meter. Gamay lang yung diferensya. And here, 0.3, this is only 30 centimeter, yung error. But if you're going to compute for the land, in terms of area, it makes big impact, significant difference, and will equate to millions of pesos. So that is why this is very important to apply corrections in taping. Okay, that's all. I think nakuha ninyo ang why it is necessary to apply corrections in taping. Medyo gabi na dito sa Amerika. USA, unahan sa ampa yun. So medyo darker na yung background ko. Okay? Ito pala yung plan. Nakuha? So for your answer, the difference, ito yung magiging difference nila. Ito. This is the error that we have to compute. You have a difference of 132.194 square meter. If the question is about value, so this is the amount of the lost money nga wala na consider if you do not apply corrections in taping. Okay? Questions? If you have questions, again, do not hesitate to drop by on the chat box, the group chat. So I will address your questions on the group chat if I have time na kanang maka-monitor na ako sa messages, because there are a lot of group chats na nasa ko, then I will only spend from time to time gonna check na ako na if there are questions that can be answered diretso, then I will answer it on the group chat. Questions? Wala, then again, expect for another quiz on this week. From your previous quiz, medyo daghan ang gamay score. So make sure, again, when you started the quiz attempt, you have your calculator, you have your handout, because allow naman, because you are answering it on your own respective residences. Then understand the questions. You are given 1 hour. I think 1 hour is already enough to answer the questions. Ako, pagbuhat na ako ato, 5 minutes lang, kaya ako magabuhat. But for you, 1 hour, I think 1 hour is enough. Some of you will even answer the questions. Mga pirato, itong may perfect diri. She answered questions for, let me see, 41 minutes. 41 minutes, and she have a perfect score. May uban, nag-answer lang of 13 minutes. May uban 1 hour, but still, gamay ang kuha. It's because you did not review your handouts very well. Okay? So this will be all for lecture 4. And thank you and good morning again. So check your attendance regularly on our LMS. Thank you, and where is the stop recording?